great to see you. I have special Lego Master 2 contestant people here. 5 additional ones. But first of all, I've been so busy I decided to change my entire layout in my house. And I don't know, maybe 80 to 150 new sets. I got pockets for typewriters, Ferris wheels. And then Jake Sadovich stopped by to sign his Lego Ideas set. So you can do a lot of work to try to make things look a lot better. And I will go off and solo out here and talk about the real truth. Now, the real truth is broadcasting the second of 3 Lego Master Contestant live streams this weekend from Portland, Oregon. So Thursday, Victoria's live from the 50 Minifigs, where we had a group build. Tonight, it's the Lego Masters Season 2 chat talking about the latest episode. And on Sunday, we have the Tricky Bricks build in chat of the latest episode as well. So you can get from the cast members here, and you can get some more experience, advice from more stage people from Season 1 and 2. So welcome. Hello, Marina. Hello, Philip. Hi, Boris. Hi, Philip. Hi, buddy. How are you?
How's it going?
I always get the name wrong. I give you guys these all the time. I got it like this. So, how are you guys?
Doing great. Moto, your audio is very quiet though. We have a hard time hearing you, man.
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to try to shout as best as I can to get as close to the mic as I can. So, hello, Whisper Runner, Brickhead, Brickhead Heart, Legoland, Ballrock. Oh, hello from Victoria, Australia, Whisper Runner, and Little Odyssey. So, I always like to start with a couple of questions first. And yes.
Your house, Moto.
You have strangers running around your house.
The contract is cleaning up from the work I did this weekend.
Right.
There you go.
It looks like you have a really impressive Brickheads collection, Moto.
Yeah.
Right there. In fact, I have a helper. Would you mind going over there and pointing out some of the brickheads for me?
Oh, wait. Who's the thing of light over there?
Santa here.
It's
from Season 1, everybody. You guys, all right. Yeah. But you guys have. I know you're kind of going to get back. No, I'm just trying to come right behind you. I'm right behind me. Cool. There you go. So yeah, we have some special guest stars this week because we're doing the Portland event.
Woo!
That's
Awesome.
nuts.
I did not bring any pens with me though, so I feel a little unprepared.
Oh, that's tomorrow. Tomorrow. Yes. Yeah, bricks and minifigs, or pins and minifigs. All of the Logan cookie time will be still in effect for the next one to wrap up the week here. But I always like to ask. The first question I always like to ask you guys is: were there any build challenge rules in place that were not part of the broadcast?
Yeah.
Let me see.
Solo layout.
So many.
Yeah.
Like 20? I don't know. A lot of them.
First, you guys, can you roughly tell us what they
Yeah,
were?
hit us
Oh
with it,
no,
guys.
you just got nominated, Maria.
Okay. Let's see if I can get a couple here. There was a minimum height for the tower. There was a maximum depth, a maximum width for the tower.
But they were different.
They were different.
They were different.
Yep. There had to be at least one stud border around the tower itself that literally nothing could be touching the tower.
Right.
The
Actual blades.
The blades themselves had a minimum length, and nothing could be behind or in front of the blade. So basically, there was a tunnel going like this. So you couldn't, for example, when I was listening to the Talk Bricks podcast, they were like, "Oh, I'm surprised Maria and Phil didn't put some of their signature vines around their windmill tower." And I was like, "We actually thought about that. Couldn't do it. It was not part of the rules." So,
Nope.
yeah. So it ended up just being the big boring tower because it was too late. So anyway.
Yeah. So did we miss anything else? Anybody else got any rules?
Oh, yes. There were a minimum fan number of blades. You could have, it was had to be 3 or 4, if I recall correctly. You
I
couldn't
think it
have
must have
2.
been 3.
I think it's 3.
Yeah, minimum of 3, I think it was.
So it
So
had
yeah,
to be
this was a heavily regulated challenge. Like,
Well, and then
crazy. So-
they even specified that for the story, you weren't supposed to use like a natural disaster as like your win story.
That's true. Yeah.
Yep.
They didn't want anything like which
You
is
guys are laughing back there. Yeah, you guys are like, what are they talking? What?
You guys, literally, it was like what 4 pages front and back with the rules that they gave us like a whole like session on to make sure we all understood what the rules were. So
If I recall, when they were explaining the rules for all the previous challenges that we've seen, not even 5 to 10 minutes. This one, it must have been 30 minutes.
really.
Just explaining everything as it went
Yes.
along, and holy cow! Oh, hey, Mom.
Hi, Gloria.
Gloria.
Yeah, Mom always chimes in on the streams. It's
I
great.
will say though that they did come by and they did check stuff for us.
Yes.
Constantly.
Which is actually really handy because then you knew if you were out of compliance.
Well, and that's just like it was really really nice because they kept telling us like we're not trying to do a getcha here.
Yeah.
But it just demonstrates how intense the rules were that they did. I think what 3 or 4 checks
Yeah.
during the build to make
With-
sure
with,
that
like, a measuring
everybody
tape and everything.
to make sure everybody
Yeah.
was in compliance with the rules. It's nuts.
So did it have to be like a fan blade?
It had to be
Yes.
a window.
Yeah, an actual fan. I don't want to take away a story from Zach and Wayne. I don't know if they're coming on tonight, but from what I heard, you could not have the fan power any other mechanism.
Yeah, I was wondering about
Right.
that.
Correct.
But they fought it and won. They said, no, we really want to have something move. They're like, no, you can't. But they kind of kept going, and they're like, please, can we have it? They're like, okay, fine. So they gave it to him. And Philip and Maria, did you guys have something powered by something?
Well,
Yeah.
the main fan itself just like spun in the back. You could see it. You can't really tell, but in that top like mechanism behind the fan, there was
Yeah.
some other stuff that spun inside of like a glass case or whatever.
Yeah.
We had some stuff on the ground that was driven by other fans.
Yeah, I would say my understanding was that the big fan windmill couldn't power anything on the
ground.
display because it couldn't connect.
Right. Because
So I
that one
think
stud around the side.
Because theirs was inside their tower and not connected to.
Well, if they do hop on, we
That's
should definitely
my
ask them about that.
Yeah, we should definitely ask them because that did come up, and they got what they wanted apparently. So we were happy about that. But
Yeah.
Yeah, which was really cool.
Mhm.
Caleb, do you know? Did we miss anything else?
I think that was it. But yeah, I remember the 5-page long documents, the PowerPoint they sent us.
Oh yeah.
There's even a clip of Jacob and I like referencing it in the show, which I thought was funny that they added.
I
Mhm.
noticed because they put it on our tablets, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I totally forgot that they had done that, and then they
Oh,
showed.
yeah.
And I was like, "See, there's the proof."
I forgot all about that. And oh, by the way,
I saw that document and I said, wait, no, on their little tablet they have drawings that they didn't draw them. What's that?
oh yeah, those are the directions.
Those are the rules.
You know, I felt like Emmett. You know, follow the instructions.
Follow the instructions.
kind of, yeah. Am I wrong? I mean, it was kind of like that. So that being said, what was that?
Said unless you're Zach and Wayne, apparently.
Unless you're second Wayne.
Right, exactly.
That being said, I think everyone did a really great job. Philip and Maria, you guys have talked about it in your other streams, but your fan was a lot thinner, and that was because the fan couldn't go past the border, like the size
yeah.
restrictions. So if you
Yeah,
made
we
it up
wanted
to
to
that
stay
area,
really
you
on
had
it
to be
long.
the fan had to be squashed in there too. So that's
Right,
what you
so
guys.
it was whatever the like frontmost part of your propeller was. So
Mhm.
even including that like spinning part, the frontmost part of the propeller to the back of the tower had a maximum depth, and we had made enough room for the propeller, but just the propeller, like not the stick to. So we were like maxed out on the depth when we were all said and done, and it was too late to change it by the time we realized our mistake. So.
You got to keep moving forward, right? Since the clock's going, you just got to keep going.
Yeah, absolutely.
stop.
We wanted to make sure it was done. It was complete, and it was within the rules. It wasn't done ideally.
Mm.
That's right. And then I always forget. So I've already forgot. I would normally ask two things. That was so long. I've already based on what I normally ask.
Yeah, it was. It really was,
I
wasn't it?
don't, did we put asleep everybody that's on the channel already just based on the rules
They're like,
We're
themselves?
losing the audience.
They're like,
Absolutely. I don't. What do I normally? Can you guys even remember what I normally ask for the
It's
second?
been so long, right? With all those skipping episodes.
I know. What do you ever ask a question like, was there anything you wanted to make it into the show that didn't, or
That,
Was there
that's
anything on the show that you
I'm
want
pretty
to
good
get
at
on?
that. Was there anything that you felt would have been nice, or that occurred, or maybe an alternate cut that you would have liked to see included? I'll start with Steven.
Let's see what else. Honestly, what you saw in the episode was like probably the closest to what you got being on set. I would say like that was everything was really close. Sometimes you have it edited so it's more hostile, but this one was. Or something like that, or there's more drama, or something like that, or you know what I'm talking about. But this one, in my opinion, was like really like shot for shot, like the editing and everything.
You don't know what you're talking about. Please illustrate. No, please continue.
Yeah, right.
Honestly, I can't really think of anything specifically. I don't know if there's any other like did something break or anything. No, it was about the same. Yeah, I wouldn't add much. I don't think anything got left out. Sorry, what was that?
There was a little sequence where they showed like 4 or 5 little things, like plates break, and then they cut to like a thing.
Oh, yeah.
And then like they got that, but they were all super minor, so I felt like people weren't having that much breakage problems.
Well, I will say, because of Aaron and Christian, we were all incredibly careful to make sure nothing broke, because after watching season 1, that was all very traumatizing. So we figured let's be really careful. So I think I speak for everybody on that one.
Yeah.
anytime they would they had a time requirement to have your build delivered to like,
Which they did.
Yeah, we I think everybody made an effort to clear the floor, which I'm not sure if that annoyed the production staff or not, because nothing's gonna fall down because it's all clear.
Yeah, they like that sort of thing. Yeah.
So because there was a CG gallery shot, are you saying that you guys had to have your builds in the gallery by the clock winding down, or was it?
I think we did.
I don't remember.
So.
We had to build.
The power challenge for sure, but I can't remember this one.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you guys remember, but the build was the size of our smaller table,
Yeah.
and we
Yeah.
had to move it into the gallery, I believe. Didn't we?
Caleb, is that right?
Because there's a
Sounds familiar. 'Cause I'm
can't
pretty sure we had to for this one.
I feel like we had to.
Wait, I don't know if that was a requirement, but it did make it into the gallery. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what they CG'd in for the
Yeah.
animation.
Yeah.
Way. Okay, so it was one
but
where
they
you have to roll it in by the end of time.
They did make us lift it up.
They did?
I don't remember. No.
Maybe they didn't.
And,
I don't
and
think
the
they
sad thing is,
I don't think
this
they
was
did. It
not
would've been
that
too
long
heavy.
ago.
No, it wasn't.
Right.
Oh, my word. Phil Maria, is there
did. There's
anything
short
you
amount
guys?
of time.
So you're far enough in to where you're too exhausted to remember what's going on anymore.
That's
Yeah,
probably
right.
A
about
little
right.
bit. It's
Yeah.
starting to get fuzzier and fuzzier. This
Oh,
is why I like to do this. We kind of remember it more.
Or
But Philip and Maria. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
what Dave does is he pulls out his notebook and starts to go, let me refer to my notes. And he goes, yeah, okay, this, and then he's got like this beautiful hand listed out note from when he I don't know when he wrote it, but he actually had a journal, a travel log of all
Oh wow,
you can be really explicit and remember them and bring them back.
crazy.
Memory loss is a symptom of trauma.
I like your spouse. She's
Oh,
funny.
she's great.
Oh,
Well, what about you guys? Did you guys have anything?
Okay, so I realized that this was Brett.
What's up, Brett?
I realized that this was our elimination episode, and honestly, I was not. I don't want to say I was dreading it, but I wasn't looking forward to it. But this was probably my favorite cut for us in the entire season, so far. I mean, obviously, we're not in anymore, but I don't think there was anything they missed. I don't think there was anything I would have added.
There was one thing that they missed that nobody else caught until after the fact when we were done. But there's a scene where if you look closely, there's a massive gash
Oh.
on my head. When Will was over at our table, like I was laughing at it really hard that I hit my head on the corner of our bill and drew blood.
Oh
And
no.
I didn't realize it until
Wait,
later. But
nobody-
nobody noticed. Like nobody caught it on tape. Like nobody pointed it
What?
out. Like
Wow.
massive gash. So
He leaned forward
Yeah.
to laugh and hit his head on our tower on the corner.
Tall guy problems, right, Philip?
yeah, tall guy problems, exactly. So I did that. Nobody catches it, and then like later I get back to like the holding area during a break or whatever, and I'm like, oh, I'm like bleeding. But there is a cut. Like you can see a few shots where you can see a gash on my head. It's not massive, but yeah.
Then they what they have to do is they have to put fake blood on for continuity.
Yeah, right.
Oh,
Oh man, it's too bad we didn't.
Ladies in there like cleaning it up.
Oh, you're right, Mata. It's funny because you're right.
And
But
then
yeah, I mean, honestly, I really loved this
they
episode.
still spackling foreheads by this point.
so hang on, just to make it clear here real quick, because there was blood, and it was a really hard, so there was probably definitely sweat, and then at the end of the episode there were tears. So hey, I got them all.
Wow.
Nice.
Just saying, I'm
Nice.
gonna go out. It's gonna be in style.
Blood, sweat, and
Wow.
tears. Put everything into it.
That's amazing. By the way, they never show enough of the goodbyes because those
Yeah,
would go
right.
on for minutes. We would just. It was really hard to see you guys walk out. I'm not gonna lie, and you know, a few more of those shots would have been nice. You know, the hugs and the pats on the back and everybody. Man,
I wish that they had our goodbye with you guys out in the lot on camera.
you guys have to tell that story.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
with-
I do want
with-
to get Caleb to talk about stuff that he.
That's true.
Like,
Caleb,
wasn't
you
a-
first,
come back to us.
There's a really good
We'll
story
come back
here.
around.
Caleb, go next.
Man, so I think Natalie and Michelle have alluded to this in other streams too, but the rest of Will and Natalie's flip flop
Mm,
Yeah.
definitely should have made the cut because it was glorious.
Yes.
Like Jacob and I were right next to them when that was happening too.
oh,
It was
I
going
couldn't hear
on
him.
for like a long time. There was
Very long
so
time.
much gold that was lost. It makes me so sad. But that is the big moment. I don't think Jacob and I did anything interesting. We yelled at Mark and Steven off camera, but
yeah, we actually did a bit. Yeah.
then
oh,
we got yelled at. Save it for the camera.
this is true. I remember that. I will say we did have a running joke, Caleb, if you remember. Near the beginning of every challenge that that you've seen so far, you and I and Mark and Jacob would be like, "Hey, are you building a car? Like, are you building a fan? You know, you're copying us like just on the theme. We're all building it, of course. So we were just to start things rolling, you know, just to see." You know how much you want to put of your Dukes today. You know, it was pretty funny. But
Caleb, they didn't highlight it, but I believe there was an East Coast West Coast rivalry with Ocean Belts this time as well.
Yes. That was much tamer, a little faster.
a lot
resolved.
tamer.
The floating island. He fought the floating island one to the bitter end, but no, we didn't have a feud with Lauren and Brian, so we let that one slide.
I think production was very disappointed though.
Probably.
I don't think it's possible to have a feud with Lauren and Brian.
Yeah, I was wondering. It could have been
They're way too nice. Like
way too nice.
for sure.
Hmm.
What was that about?
Oh, we both had underwater builds.
I see.
Yeah, so they were the Pacific Ocean and we were the Atlantic
Oh, right.
Ocean.
Yes, of course, I remember.
Hmm. Nice stuff.
Who says it's not? I haven't seen any stop to it yet.
Saying,
Hasn't done
there
yet.
need to be some.
Yeah,
It's
it's great for whatever we're doing. You know, the camera loves it.
Camera loves it.
Philip and Maria, you want to tell them the story?
Yeah. Actually, we have a question. Richard's going to
Oh, yeah.
come in with a host question.
I had
Yeah.
one other question.
You have to give
Okay.
the host that microphone.
I have a question for Steven. I was noticing how aerodynamic the towers were, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that. It seemed like the tops of submarines, like very, like they shed wind.
Mhm. So yeah, it's I briefly mentioned that on Philip and Maria's Instagram stream, but what happened was when the moment we found out we were going to do a fan, I'm like, okay, so we knew that a lot of people are going to do a square tower, but I remember I watched a lot of Jay Leno's Garage, right? And I love looking at his old cars, like his 30s and 40s Duesenbergs and, you know, other stuff like that. And he always talked about how they were aerodynamic back then, like how the aerodynamics worked on some of the
Do your
40
Leno
cars.
impression.
Oh yeah. Jay Leno, he says that the teardrop shape, that's the most aerodynamic shape you can get in a car. You know, you got better fuel economy. You know. So yeah, I don't know if it's good or not, but yeah, that guy he drove it home. Love aerodynamic cars. I'm like, okay, teardrop shape. All right, that's interesting. And I thought about it. You know, a dolphin's that shape. The fluke of any animal, teardrop, airplane wings. So I thought, let's make ours like an airplane wing. Let's make it like one of those, you know, Duesenbergs or whatever. So we started out, I think it was 16 wide and like 25 studs long, I think, if I recall. But yeah, the front was a little wider going down to the bottom. And it was just stacked bricks the whole way. We actually went solid brick the whole way up. A lot of people had, if I recall, just the walls. Is that correct for some people? And like frame on the inside, sort of? Did you guys do that, or?
Yeah, we had a Technic frame on the inside.
Okay.
Yeah,
We did solid brick.
Actually, ours is Technic frame, the whole inside of it. I'd assumed that the tower was going to fall over.
Yeah.
The inside of it was all, like, I had pins out in the
Oh,
middle.
are you talking about our bacon chip?
No, on this build.
I thought it was just brick.
No, it was much Technic. That's why it took so long to get the
I
tower
had
up.
no idea that was Technic in here.
There you go. But no, we went solid brick all the way up, and the top was rounded. And I'm really glad we went with the shape, because what happened was our blade started smacking into the near the middle of the tower. So we were able to stack backward as we went up a little sharper than what we had planned, without it looking, you know, too different. And in the end, it turned out really good. Now, a lot of the square towers did fine, but I am curious, you know, like how much of an effect it had. But it did seem really stable, and yeah, we went with an airplane wing.
So it would be really cool if, like, they had the option to get, like, smoke. You know, when they have a like aerodynamic tunnel for, like, testing cars and stuff.
Wind tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, like to actually have, like, the smoke or, like, the steam coming out, see what it would do.
Yeah, that would have been fun.
Oh, that is it. Like get some,
That'd
like,
be pretty
steam,
cool.
sort of. Yeah, some smoke to go around. That would be cool.
We have our first chat question here, if you guys could.
Yeah.
And by the way, this, not just for this particular challenge, but
Yeah.
just generically, we could all go around.
Um,
Let's go in reverse order. We'll start with Paris, and then from the row going up, so we get a nice zigzag going, just to break it up. So Paris, why don't you start first?
I couldn't hear everything you just said. So,
Answer the question regarding
the regulations.
Yeah.
Okay. Regulations. I don't know. I found them a little bit restrictive in general. You know, there's already so much going on. You know, we're already being pushed and challenged and under a lot of stress with the time and everything. And I would have liked a little bit more leeway on creativity. You know, this one, I think we've talked about, Moto and we've talked about how, you know, there seemed to obviously have been a strong focus on technical aspects for this whole season. And, you know, the windmill and all of these other things. So I don't know. I guess I would have liked to have been able to push myself on some of those aspects a little bit more, but that's just my preference. But anyway, I don't know. My 2 cents.
Caleb, you next.
I think especially for the windmill challenge, it was restrictive because, hey,
Hey there.
Well, like from a competitive aspect, it puts us all on the same playing field, which is good for fairness' sake. But I know for the windmill challenge, like they have Steve coming out and, you know, doing the compliance checks. And so it's something that's just constantly on your mind. You know, like, am I going to pass the compliance check? It's not like, how do I make the best build? It's like, do I pass? Am I going to be able to present my build at all? And so I feel like there were situations like that where it was just like, I feel like challenges that had minimal amounts of that, for instance, like the earthquake challenge that had like the height requirement, I can get behind that a little bit more. But when you start adding in too many like height, width, depth, weight, maybe they should have added a weight maximum for the hat challenge. But
Yeah. For sure.
exactly. It's just like, yeah, it's hard to think of a challenge, that didn't have something. Like even the first one was like add motion, and so it's whatever. Yeah.
Except for the hanging brick, as far as I'm aware, that had
That's
no
true.
restriction whatsoever.
Yeah.
That's probably why it was the best.
Yeah, in my opinion, that was the most creative one. But I'll save that for later. But Michelle.
Michelle, we're answering this question from Little Audacity about regulations. So if you could read the question and then try to answer it in your opinion.
Are the regulations on builds annoying or construction? Is it helpful to have guidelines? That's what I'm wondering. I don't know. I'm like, I don't know. I guess I didn't really, I watched season 1, so I kind of knew there were going to be like, certain guidelines. So I guess I went into it expecting that. And like, I wasn't as, I didn't mind them so much. It kind of gave me a direction, I guess. So I'm like, off the top of my head, I guess I didn't really mind them. Maybe on some I did. And I actually thought the hanging brick was the hardest one, but that should be.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, and the exciting one, actually.
It's so interesting, Michelle, because it's like totally opposite for me. Because my favorite was the hanging brick because the only rule was build something off the hanging brick. Now they had other recommendations, right? Like it has to be viewed from 360, but
Right, it has to be big.
there weren't all these requirements that would like disqualify you or put you in the bottom 2 or
that's true.
And it just gave us the ability to build whatever we wanted. I thought the windmill one was too restrictive. I think everybody did a really good job working around those restrictions. They kind of broke my brain. And I think maybe your brain too. And I think we just had a hard time seeing through the weeds. Like it was, let's make sure that we meet these requirements. And we like stood back about, 8 hours into it, looked at it, we were like, what was the thought process here? And so, even I thought the make and shake. Actually, it's funny because in retrospect, I remember after they gave us the rules for the make and shake, I was like, "Could you put those down on a piece of paper for us so that we can write it?" And then we get to the windmill challenge, and I'm like, "Make and shake, no problem."
Right. I mean,
some of it, like when I think back on it, some of that stuff is just such a blur to me. I'm like, we made it, we did it, okay. And now I'm like, okay, yeah, I guess there were like tons of restrictions on that one, or tons of like things you had to like meet. I was just like, oh my gosh, are we going to be able to get this fan blade attached to where it doesn't like come off? That was like the biggest thing.
I mean, the make and shake, just to add what you just said, the make and shake in particular was, and I think we talked about it. I don't know that it made the final cut, but, if we look at all the builds, they were pretty much all square, rectangular solids, basically. And I think Moto and I spent a good hour and a half, if you remember right, trying to make a honeycomb thing or something, but it just was not going to work. And I think we all felt that at least we felt it was definitely restricted into this sort of.
Well, and it was such a short time span. There wasn't really a whole lot of time to be.
Yes, it was.
There wasn't a whole lot of time
was.
to be creative with it. I mean, 8
Yeah.
hours is not a lot of time.
But Stephen, do you find that the
Yeah, the question. Yeah.
some structuring within the regulations, or do you think it would be better if there was more storytelling or less technical, or just any observations so far now that we're kind of reaching or past that halfway season?
So it's kind of a balance, but I would definitely prefer less restrictions to more for sure. And the reason being, it becomes a distraction really quickly. So you're focusing on something else rather than the product. You're focusing on its size. And I get it. Everyone wants them to be big and look kind of the same shape and everything so that you can have a nice consistent look for your challenge. I get it. But I'm definitely more for like size, like this is the minimum size. Don't go any smaller than this. I like that better
Yep.
because the hats challenge had 100 studs in any direction you wanted, not front to back or side to side. It could be any direction and 60 bricks tall, which frankly worked really well. I think for a lot of people. People really liked that size for some reason. It worked great. Like, got it.
I might disagree with that a little bit.
Oh yeah, sorry. Generally speaking, I'm sorry. Generally speaking, a very small amount of restriction is nice. Like, okay, for the parade float, here's your base. Don't build off of it. That's nice. That works. Let me think any others.
Well, like the parade float too. They said, you can't go down this far or go off this far, and that was just sheer like, let's not break it when it goes around.
Exactly. So some of it
that
makes
is understandable.
Sense, but yeah.
With a car too, it was like don't go below this like
platform.
There's a lot of emphasis on destruction this season so far. For sure.
Yeah.
So it's challenging because as block builders, a lot of us we want to build something that's pretty. Now, whenever we get a chance to blow something up, but I'll gladly take that. But it's tough. Looking at like season 3 of Australia, I'm curious if they have a season 3 of the US, if they're going to focus more on that. Like they're definitely aesthetics heavy on that season for sure. And I think it's more like artwork focused instead of like, hey, let's build something, make it look cool, but then also blow it up and have it fall over, or put like a 60-mile-an-hour wind against it.
Yeah, it's
fun. It's interactive, right? Like I definitely enjoy that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, this is things that we'll never ever get a chance of doing again, most likely. So it's cool, but it also the restrictions you get too hung up on them.
Exactly.
That was definitely our downfall. I think on episode 7 was that we were just so hung up on the restrictions that I don't know.
So first, we have to take a pause because we had someone else walk in. Someone who deserves to take credit for building all of this amazing stuff that's around us and the layouts and bring us over to a wonderful house. This is Holly, who is waving at us in the chat. I don't know why. I don't know why she's waving in the chat when she's right here.
It's a waveception.
Yeah.
A wave within the wave within a stream.
Holly is also joining us now.
Mm-hmm.
Which we know for Tribute by Spell Chat show. So yeah, Holly's here. What do you guys think about your season and the regulations? How would you as far as like is it too great? Yeah, I'm sorry.
Since we were first season, a lot of our rules were a little like loosey gooseier. There weren't a whole lot of like hard line. It has to be this big. It has to be this small. I think the only one I really remember was the bridge challenge. They were like, it has to all be at the same level as the little, like the little parts that stuck out. But other than that, I don't recall.
That was a hard rule.
Yeah, that was
if you're one plate away.
And that's what happened with Mel and Jermaine.
That's what happened with Mel. They were like one plate shy of being tall enough.
It was so. I just remember it seeming so, like thinking how unfair that seemed at the time, like when that happened.
I do think a lot of the rules, they were very careful to explain the rules super carefully, and there were people sitting around off camera like, do you understand the rules? I understand the rules. It seemed like they went a long, long way to try and make sure everything was fair, and that no one, that was not fair.
But my favorite, like speaking of rules, and I don't know if y'all had this or not, but there was this woman, I guess she was like the lawyer or whatever, who was like always there for the rules, like standing arms crossed, looking a little stern.
Never saying
anything. And I just remember a couple times, like, we would say, well, like ask for a clarification and be like, so are we allowed to do like such and such? And like the guy giving the rules would like look over at her and she would just never, and that was like the sum total of it.
I will say this: you are a year beyond your production, which allows you some freedom.
We can say lots of stuff.
Woo! So we're.
I think like the bridge challenge is what stuck in my mind from watching season 1. I was like, okay, these rules are like important. So we would make sure we like met our criteria, and then we're like, okay, now we can have a little bit more freedom.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, I'm sure it's a lot easier for them to judge a technical challenge versus a more artistic one,
Yeah.
because they can look at the numbers first. So I'm sure they prefer that, but we as builders would absolutely prefer, having more control over the design, the color, everything and stuff.
Yes.
So yeah.
I asked Richard and Dave when they were on our show, was like, were you surprised after having watched season 1? Were you surprised when you showed up and then it was just like kind of structural challenge after structural challenge? Were you have you like mentally prepared yourself for more? I mean, because ours was really almost entirely storytelling focused, right? Like all about storytelling and the color work and all that stuff. So did that kind of surprise you when you showed up and it was like, oh, and by the way, everything you make, we're going to try and knock it over.
Destroy or try not to destroy, yeah.
Well, I remember with the Make and Shake, we were all, because we had the parade float, which was a story, we'd had the hero shot, which was a story, and then we had the Make and Shake, and we were all trying to come up with these stories for our build, and then when it came down to it, none of it mattered, because they just wanted to know what it was made out of, basically, or what like our strategy was. And so you're right, it felt like there were some things where the story was important, but a lot of it it didn't really matter as much.
Yeah, they didn't go into it much.
Yeah.
I don't think they showed most of the stories that we had.
Yeah. A lot of the stories got cut or shortened.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, our Cabaret Girl story went from this to like that.
Yeah, we had this whole story and like backstory about how like she had robbed the boss and she had like set everything to blow and like
stole his car.
You had a great story and they just skipped it. I remember that.
Yeah, it was all gone.
And on the show it was, she's gonna blow this joint.
Yeah, it was not her cabaret building. It was the big mob boss's cabaret building, and she was done. She was not having it anymore.
Yeah, but even better is I remember Horace and I working over a script for each exact sentence.
Yes. Yep.
To the note on the hat challenge, only to have someone announce that, don't worry about story this time. You're just going to talk about your build and how it's together. And I just about lost.
I remember that.
Lost about 3 inches off the end of my hair from your burning fury of all the. I had copy edited with marketing and puns and.
I believe it.
Philip, you would have loved the slight humor in there. And it was all like, oh, don't worry about this time. You're just going to describe your stuff to the judges.
Well, and then they would tell us like,
so that was my bit.
They're like, keep it to 1 or 2 sentences. Like, don't make it too complicated. Do this. And I just remember every single time before while they were going around judging everybody else's, I'm just sitting in my head repeating my like 2-sentence story over and over again and hoping I didn't completely screw it up. Yeah, that was the rehearsal.
If you ever see,
guys, was there a continued practice of everybody standing by the bay doors, kind of memorizing their lines and walking around? Okay, good.
If you ever notice, Maria would never do Maria would always do our like story because my memory is so bad. Like I would like say like the first like 2 sentences. Yeah, exactly. And then like forget the rest of it. So Maria took care of that, which drove her nuts. And she's also a creative writer though too. So
but if you ever see me during judging looking like not overly thrilled, it's because I'm in my head. Because I didn't want to forget.
I have a question though. Caleb, did Jacob ever tell a description? Like so far? Because I don't remember.
For the Sunshine Wagon, he took over the second half. Oh no, he did the first half, and I took over the second half. Remember that?
Yes, that was.
I think so. Yeah. Was
that
all? Because he hardly said a word.
Caleb, the curses Jacob spoke.
That's true.
That's why he keeps quiet. He knows.
Do that.
How about you guys? Did you alternate between you and Natalie, or how did when you had to do a storytelling, what was your guys's like? Were you just frantically trying to write and memorize lines, or how did yours go?
I'm more like Philip. I would forget a lot of stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll take the first couple, and then I'll do something at the end, and then she would take the middle part of it. So.
Yeah, you guys would sort of alternate, right? Yeah, you guys did a good job of that.
Stephen and Mark, what was your approach to the storytelling? You do every other episode, or how was yours kind of fashioned?
If I recall, let's see. we would cut it in half, like always. We would one brother would talk about the mechanics if they were more heavily on the mechanics, and the other would do the story. So whoever did like the really technical stuff for whatever challenge, they would usually do the mechanics. They would talk about the mechanics, and the other would do the story. It's funny, we actually had to swap roles at the beginning challenge because poor Mark, he got a little like started stumbling on his words. Poor guy, you remember that, Moto? And,
I remember it too.
Yeah. So he was like, like he was. Poor guy was struggling, so I'm like, here, let me do a take, and he's like, okay, yeah, do a take. So I just roll with it because he was starting to get a little nervous, public speaking, you know. But I've done more public speaking than Mark in various things. So yeah, I took on that one, and he went over the story after I talked about the mechanisms and stuff. So it was pretty fun. But yeah, we would usually just cut it in half: story, nuts and bolts. So.
And Parse, if I remember, we alternated, right?
I think we did, right?
Yeah, I think we did. What was your favorite story or part of a story that you wrote into a build? Did you have any favorites?
You mean one that actually made it onto the show, or not?
Either. Because we've already. But yeah, is there anything that didn't make it to airing that you wish would have?
Oh, no question. Especially like you remember the for our dam, our hero shot build. We had a very strong team. I mean, Jamie came over and really helped us with that, you know, and asked specifically about the landscape and, you know, wanting to see more color in certain areas or black and white and all that. And I'm trying to remember, but yeah, because we had the rainbow tree in the front, which was never really highlighted. And
by the way, I still remember all 8 sentences that went into that script down to the word.
Yeah.
Posted into my mind. So
yeah. Okay, so right, we are like Maria and Phil, except he's the one with the memory. I mean,
and it was the character's Princess Verena. Don't forget that.
That's true. Yeah. And remember, we had like a whole story about trying to make a thing about you know, the environment with that build and drawing attention to you know, I guess I don't remember exactly the words we were using, but you know, the impact of the environment of a dam. Yeah.
I like the placement of your camera, Moto.
Casting a spell.
Ship.
Wait, are you throwing gang signs, Moto?
Really say down here so tight.
I mean, the only real part that I miss is when, you know, our elfin, you know, girl got her sword taken, you know, knocked out.
That was awesome. Why didn't they have that in there?
I don't know why they didn't highlight that. They should have zoomed in and then like threw a circle around it.
Oh, they never caught it with Horace.
Didn't it come off?
Yeah, so ours had the closest. So Lauren and Brian had the second closest near hit.
Except for us.
Where it hit the.
Yeah, that's true.
Away. We had the closest one where the brick literally knocked the sword right out of her hand.
Wow.
It didn't fall over, but yeah.
It was flying through and knocked the sword right out of her hand. And then Jamie, and if we're asking us, you know, Parson, like, what do you think about the explosion? I'm like, I know, you need, that's okay. That's okay. By the way, this is Minifig Chicks. So now we've got another one in.
Hello.
Awesome. And you know, the question was like, I was like, man, that was one close call for the sword, and you know, I know the figure's supposed to remain intact, sort of thing. And Jamie, to his credit, in a half second says, I like the sword got knocked out of her hand because it means that her work is done and she can lay down her arms.
Really awesome.
Moto, why did you have that in your story?
Why wasn't that in the final cut? Why wasn't that in the final cut? That was a really cool moment. It's like, oh, it's not fair, right?
It was. I totally agree.
Read as well as I just related to you guys.
Yeah.
I guess a question for Flynn and Richard, like, do you wish that they would do like a longer cut of your guys' like season 1? I mean, do you feel like there was a lot of stuff that was also missed? I know for our season for sure they could add another hour on.
Easy.
yeah.
Let's turn around. Was there
You know something?
was there anything you guys could add from your season that you wish was included more? Or some memory now, here and
More
change
wow.
later.
I'd like more than 30 seconds or more than 15 second shot on our movie challenge. We were so happy with it, and it was like blink and you miss it. And I think there was a twist with that one, and they showed after the twist, but they never showed before the twist, and we were so excited about what we had going before that. So I would love, we talked about this, I would love if they did like a half-hour like web episode where they had so much footage that they could just make this great, content with the stuff that, especially AFOLs, that lots of people wanted to see.
Yeah.
I've heard the same thing. We've done.
Yeah,
some
at Brick Fair, I
fun
think we
reads.
had a lot of comments on that actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the web episode's a great idea because you can go back and watch it and like make sure that right now anyway it's streaming, but like John's focusing on the builds.
Well, because the Australian version, they do videos that are just the models.
Yeah.
You can go and look at each individual model like featured really beautifully. And again, like we can probably say more than you can, but like they spent a lot of time doing those beauty shots. Like we carted our model to each little station and had them do it close up and I remember actually specifically our fairy tale challenge. They took the most beautiful shots of it. Of the movie mashup challenge. They took the most beautiful shots of it, like close-ups of our fairies' faces and like all this. I was like watching them film it, going, "This is going to look so amazing." And then, it's like, and here's their build. Okay, moving on now.
Right.
April Fools, you get 10 seconds.
We felt the same way about our cabaret build. Like that was I really loved our cabaret build a lot, and I think they showed it for 15 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
I
When
love
they
it.
exploded.
I don't know if this will work. I'm gonna check.
Somebody's turkey's done.
Wasn't done.
Yeah. Any other chat questions?
1 hour shows on like each of the teams in the bill. That would be so awesome.
That's a little feature. So,
Yeah, no kidding. A blooper cut would be fantastic. That would be awesome.
Oh, please. That would be amazing. Please do
The
that.
blooper cut would probably be longer than the regular show.
That's okay.
We
I'm
do
not
have
complaining.
an episode tonight due to some birthdays.
oh yeah.
So we have about 8 minutes remaining. Is there any topic among the panelists that you think would be a good question for the other panelists, or something about this episode that you think would be good to leave on?
I have something. I have real quick. So I can save mine for the end.
Wait, so good question for the panelists.
For you guys, Stephen, Maria, Philip, Michelle, Caleb, Horace.
Oh, season 2 only is what he's saying.
Not here in my room first. Each other.
I'm not sure if I understood the question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's the question?
Go ahead.
Hey, it's been a long week.
Yeah.
No, I guess I have a confession to make. Maria and Philip, I've been talking about you behind your back, and I feel really bad, and I feel like I have to tell you to your face how much I love you. We have been saying all along that y'all are like the us of this season. Like there's definitely some parallels, and watching this last episode, and we watched it again like right before we came on here, so you'd be like fresh. And first of all, like I've been saying that all along, we have a very similar build style. We're similar people. And then watching this episode, and I don't know if you all know this, but we all went out on the same episode 7, the same one that we went out on. And then watching them doing your judging tonight, they said similar things to us on the episode that we went out on. And in a big surprise to no one, I was like sobbing at the end, and then Philip was crying, and then I was crying more. And I gotta say, like, I love all of y'all, and y'all are super talented. but like the Maria and Philip Flynn Richard connection is and real, and
So,
we love
like,
it so much.
When are we gonna go on a double date?
Oh, yes, I want that has to happen. That's just that's a whole reality show on its own. Right
Oh my
there.
gosh! Oh my gosh! This has to happen.
Uh-oh.
Yeah.
You can hear Fox running some papers right
Yeah,
now.
right.
Yes.
Let's find up the contract.
Which teams will go home terrified?
Lego Masters wife swap.
I don't even know what to say right now.
I'm single, so I'm out.
Yeah, kid, you do.
I'm a really good cook. I'm just saying.
Oh, you guys are awesome. I love you guys. But no, seriously, like I know the divide is like many miles, but we need to make this happen.
Yes.
I will
Thank you,
say-
guys.
Kind of
We really appreciate the love.
Yeah.
And
forward.
I know I already alluded to this, but we just loved the episode. It was so good. It was so good. It gave me all the feels.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And then it was hilarious because they finished the elimination, you know, cry. We walk off, and then immediately they go into the puppet show preview. And so my son was like snuggled up next to me. He's like, I'm so sad that you had to go. I wanted you to stay longer. And then he starts laughing his butt off because the puppet shows. It was like this serious flow, this major high. And he had to like leave and go to the bathroom because he was about to pee his pants because he was laughing so hard. It was a great moment.
That's it.
Now we're finally getting. It's funny, like we're about to wrap up, and now we're getting.
Numbers.
So here's a quick one for you.
Yeah.
I want to say real quick too that Richard and Flynn, we love you guys too. And like seriously, like the sooner we can like meet you guys, the better. And like I said, like you said earlier, I think we have a lot in common. So I think it would be a very, very entertaining experience between the four of us.
I'm here for it.
To the numbers on the side. Oh, that's what they're. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so tired. Okay. No, actually, that was funny. Andreas ran up to us. He's like, "Hey, what do the numbers mean on the side of your windmill?" And I'm like, "Number? Oh yeah, those numbers. I don't know. Like I was literally drew a blank." But because all I did was just like 27. Those are easy and they're recognizable, so just throw those up there. Number 8. Okay, that's better. Yeah, we'll do that. There's no significance whatsoever.
It's just not the Fibonacci sequence.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. I forgot about that. But no, we literally just stuck them on there, and it was I should have thought of something witty, like done like A113 from Pixar or something. I should have something clever or whatever. But
Yeah, 11337. Come on.
yeah, something like that.
Yep.
But no, that was just part of the design. But I will say.
Wasn't there an Australian team that did some kind of like naughty numbers on one of their builds? If I remember correctly.
Not sure.
I don't know, but we're gonna have to look more closely now.
Yeah. Which one?
I think it was one of the it was the one where they built like the game like the arcade thing, I think.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think I saw some out online somewhere. Anyway.
That was a cool build though.
Philip, you know who to ask. Just ask.
Yeah. I'm curious.
Is Fuller here still?
We have to get going with Philip sometime. Private message me, and we know where to ask to get that answer.
Yeah, we'll do. That's true. That is true.
Oh yeah. Season 1, right behind you guys. right behind you, Moto. Yeah, forgot about that.
So anyway, we are winding down. We do have birthday plans, things going on, but as always, I'm sorry that it's not our normal 1.5 hour. We're coming up on 2 hour. Cavalcade of heroes. But thank you so much for being here, guys. Maria, Philip, we'll have a drink for you tonight. We're thinking of you. And Caleb, congratulations on being in the top 2. Fantastic build.
Mm-hmm.
And
it was a great build and
the wedding.
And the wedding, yeah.
Yes. Thank you guys.
And all of it, right? All of it. You're just firing on all cylinders. So congratulations.
Thank you.
Hey,
Yeah.
whose birthday is it?
It's Holly's was a couple days ago, and mine's in a few days. So it's
Oh, double birthday.
Congratulations to
birthday,
both of you.
guys.
Happy birthday.
Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday.
Trip around the sun.
Yeah, today
Yeah.
today's my nephew Nathan's birthday. I know he's watching, so happy birthday,
Oh,
Nathan.
wow. Happy
Happy
birthday.
birthday, Nathan.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, here right there. So thank you all, internet or on replay. Thank you so much. Here from Portland, Oregon, the Super Seating, amazing stuff. Don't forget at 10 a.m. tomorrow, PST.
10 a.m. tomorrow.
10 a.m. tomorrow, PST. Please join the Trippy Brooks.
Trippy Brooks. That's our other channel.
That's enough.
Trucky Brooks. That's
Check out the Trippy Brooks Weapon Show.
Tracky Blacks?
Open chat.
oh my goodness. Okay.
No, the Tricky Bricks Building Chat Show. Where,
Yes.
where we will be finished in the Great Portland Extravaganza with a beautiful bookend on Sunday. Thank you so much, guys, for answering all our wonderful questions and discussing the episode and giving us some additional insight. We'll keep this until the season ends. Yeah. Take it easy.
Fun stuff. Bye, guys.
Bye.